Follow-up of the for the experiment that I've been running with my auto mowers to see if I can get them to mulch leaves in the fall. We're approaching the middle of November, so it's around that time for me to really start picking up the leaves by myself if the mowers haven't handled enough of it. So I would say it's half and half in terms of the results that I have gotten so far. So this half here, for this small section of property, has been relatively successful. And to recap, the way that I set up these mowers is I took off the bottom plate here. There's a metal plate that goes over this cap covers that hold it on to protect the blades. And I took that off, and I used a bunch of used blades that I had, and I stacked 4 of them up on top of each other onto this hat screw, and then I tightened the screw down to try to lock the blades into place, all pointing out this way. Now as you use the mower, it's going to knock these around a little bit, and as you can see, they're not all perfectly aligned anymore, so you can reset those every couple of days or so. But even as they are right now, they've still been doing okay. So this is the setup, and as you spin it around, as you can see, those blades aren't moving anywhere. So that means when this hits a leaf, it's going to run through the leaf rather than the leaf push the blades back, and then it ends up doing nothing. So everything on this section of lawn that I have right here, every chopped up leaf that you see is exclusively from this auto mower. I haven't done any mulching of these leaves myself with like a vacuum style mulcher or anything like that. And as you can see, it's not bad. I mean, there's still leaves on the ground, but most of them are fairly chopped up. Right? So that's good. And I think it was last weekend, my wife and the kids made a few leaf piles here to clean up, and I wanted to keep using the auto mower to mulch more leaves, so I just set it running, and because the auto mower is kind of like a shovel, it just kind of spread those leaf piles out and chopped them up a little bit more. But this section actually worked okay. And so I'm just going to walk around the yard a little bit so you can kind of see, you know, how chopped up the leaves look. And again, still plenty of leaves here, but they're mostly chopped up, and you can see they got kind of, like as the mower comes down here, it sort of pushed the leaves against the retaining wall. So there's still a little bit of manual follow-up work that I'll have to do to really clean this up. Like I'll probably get the leaf blower and take whatever is left here of the chopped up leaves and blow them into a pile and clean those up. But I think this saved a reasonable amount of work, because in the past, these would all be complete leaves. Like this is a freshly fallen leaf. They'd all be like this, all over this yard, and I'd have to clean it all up. But now, they're more like this, right? Now, how long did this take? Well, I had this mower running every day, or at least every day where it wasn't raining and the leaves were, reasonably dry, for I'd say about the past month. And it took that long to do this. And the reason for that is because even though those razor blades aren't moving around on that disc, they don't have a lot of, they're not very large. So you have to do a lot of passes over a given leaf in order to really cut that leaf up. And the reason why this section of yard works okay for that is 2 reasons. First, the yard is relatively small, so it's going to go from boundary to boundary many times within a given period of time. The other thing is this lawn is, although it's not perfect, it is relatively flat. So as that mower pushes leaves around, there aren't that many divots for it to push the leaves into. And so you're not going to really, let's flip this back over, run into a whole lot of problems with leaves that aren't getting cut. So this is how it has worked here so far, and I'd say it's a reasonable success. If we go to the other part of the yard, where I ran the experiment with my Husqvarna 435X, I did the exact same blade setup, but I got a very different result. Now, the yard you see right now, I spent the day cleaning this up myself manually because this part of the experiment was a complete failure. And the way I set it up was that section of the yard, going out to about here, I had the mower just running over that every day for I think about 2 weeks. And you can even see the difference in wear on the ground between the grass you see here and the ground that's all beaten down and trampled over compared to that grass there, which the mower didn't touch, partly because that ground's still wet from the rain. So really what the mower did here was just trample all over the property and not really cut any leaves up. And a big reason for that is because this section of yard is very uneven. There's a lot of dips and valleys. And so that mower, like I said earlier, is going to act like a shovel. It's just going to push the leaves around, and then when it gets over a dip, like a little valley here, the leaves are just going to pile up right here. They're not going to actually get cut. And so you see that everywhere. Everywhere where you see that there's just brown dirt and not grass, more or less that's where the leaves piled up as the mower just shoved the leaves in there, like this whole canyon here, right? So anywhere where there's topography on the lawn, if it's large enough topography, the mower's not going to get in there and cut up the leaves. We see like here, for example, I had leaves piling up there, and then up here, I had leaves piling up here. They weren't getting cut. So the key thing, if you have a yard like this, it has rather uneven ground. If you want to use an automower to mulch leaves, it has to be set up in a way to generate turbulence. That turbulence is going to swish the leaves around and get them to interfere with the blades, so the blades end up cutting them. The way these automowers, at least the ones I have, are designed, they don't generate turbulence. Because they don't generate turbulence, it's only going to cut what happens to come across the blade. And so in the case of a yard like this, it's not going to mulch the leaves. You're going to have to do it by yourself manually with a leaf blower and all that nonsense. But that yard over there, which is much flatter and smaller, worked a lot better. Because that's the other thing. The boundary wire goes from this end to that end over there. It's a much larger distance. And from that end all the way out to there, much larger distance. So each pass takes a longer amount of time. If it took me a month of constant running every day to do the kind of leaf mulching I had in the other yard, to do it here could take 2 or 3 months of constant running. But you don't have that kind of time in the fall. So unless I can figure out a way for those blades to generate actual turbulence for a yard like this, I'd say if you have a yard like this with a lot of topography, just clean out the leaves manually or use a normal lawnmower with a normal lawnmower blade, because that blade's run like a fan. It's going to move the leaves around and mulch the leaves. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys my conclusion. As you can see, most of the leaves are fallen. There's a couple that still left. So this is kind of, not quite, but kind of the end of leaf cleaning season. Yeah, so I hope you found this informative. For those of you who have an automower and are thinking of doing the same thing, short answer is it really depends on your lawn. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.